Time to talk transfer portal. A lot of action since it officially opened on Tuesday. And in this video, I got On3's Pete Nakos to update some of the biggest recruitments active in the portal right now. But before we get going, guys, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. Let's get this page to 50K. Go ahead, smash subscribe for me. Okay, let's bring on Pete Nakos. Pete, let's start with Elijah Haring. Coveted linebacker is heading to Colorado for a visit. Are the Buffs the favorite early on in this recruitment?
The Buffs are definitely the favorite early on, Josh. This took a full 48 hours to put his name in the portal. I had a couple sources tell me that Tennessee was trying to work through some things at the last minute. Yeah. He's now in the portal. On3, Steve Wiltfong reported today he will be at Colorado this weekend. The one other school that Steve and I had our eye on a little early on is Miami, but they're going to go in a different direction at the linebacker position. So that Colorado visit is definitely scheduled on the calendar at the moment.
All right. Do you have a direction for Miami fans watching in which they're going to find a linebacker, or just in general speaking?
I think that they're kind of filling out the linebacker position. There's a really talented linebacker in the portal from Pitt, and there's a few others, including Larry Worth, the Jacksonville State kid that Arkansas offered today. I know A&M has watched tape on, and that is picking up some steam.
Okay. Let's go back to what we talked about yesterday with Chobi Matthews of Texas A&M, well, departing Texas A&M. And the feeling was Oregon, FSU, both the two teams at the top of this recruitment. But we talked about FSU and their inability to recruit this week due to some penalties from the Amarius Mims transfer situation. So does this mean Matthews is going to be a slam dunk for Oregon, or do you think he waits until FSU gets out of the penalty box to start his recruitment?
Yeah, at the moment, I have had a few conversations and don't believe that even when Florida State does start attacking the transfer portal, that he's going to be high up on their radar. I think that there's a few other positions in need for the Seminoles at the moment, and the secondary is not one of them. On the flip side, Oregon remains the favorite from everyone I've talked to, and the one thing that I think people need to also think about is I think Oregon's just trying to make sure it's the right fit in what they want to do, even if Oregon is really high on Chobi Matthews' board.
All right, let's talk about running back Damian Martinez. You put out some intel that he met with Miami last night, but he has revised his visit schedule now moving forward. So what's changed, and how did it go with Miami last night?
It went really well with Miami last night. Had some conversations today and feel really good about Damian Martinez in Miami. And Josh, you and I have been talking about Damian Martinez, I think, for 3 days now. And yeah, I'm confident in saying that Miami remains the favorite. Now, obviously, he's going to go on these visits the next few days. It's Arizona today, and then he heads to Mississippi State for their spring game, and then Kentucky and Miami. A few others have reported this, and then I also confirmed it on my own. Miami wanted to be the last visit, Josh. Okay. They wanted to be in that position where they had the last punch to kind of knock out his recruitment. And yeah, I think last night was a really good, hey, you are our top back on the board. Go do your thing. We understand that you didn't have the biggest recruitment in high school. We want you to go enjoy this, but we're going to be here, and we're not going to recruit any other running backs, and you are our guy.
All right, that makes sense. Speaking of somebody that didn't have a big recruitment coming out of high school, Penny Boon. Penny Boon signed with Toledo, blew up, hit the transfer portal in the first window, signed with Louisville, enrolled at Louisville, and is now back in the portal, and tons of schools are involved with him right now. I saw you tweet out a list of like 12 schools that have reached out to Penny Boon in the first moments he hit the portal. But who should we focus on here?
21, according to On3's Hayes Fawcett. I got the same list too, but a very long list. Tennessee was a school I had circled before he officially jumped in, that the Vols want a running back in the portal. They'd like to add some depth and experience. Some sources told On3's Steve Wiltfong and I today that Tennessee is not really going to be in the mix there. There's nothing wrong with the talent. They know that he's one of the best backs on the board, just not going to go in that direction. So where do we go from there? I think you need to look at all the schools that are kind of in the mix for Damian Martinez and evaluate who might get left out. Kentucky really would like another running back. Mississippi State. And talking to Penny Boon's agent, I really do believe that Penny wants to play in the SEC. So I think SEC schools are going to be high up on that list.
Okay, well, we can't talk transfer portal if we're not mentioning Cormani McClain, but I actually want to talk Cormani McClain in relation to a Georgia wide receiver that hit the portal, and that's Tyler Williams. Tyler Williams and Cormani McClain were teammates about a year and a half ago, just the other day it seems, at Lakeland High School. And now they are both in the portal, and it seems like they could both end up returning in-state. Yesterday we talked about USF being a potential landing spot for Cormani McClain. Makes a lot of sense. DeMarcus Van Dyke, who recruited him over at Miami, is now at USF. They had a very good relationship there. Do you think this could be a package deal where we see Tyler Williams and Cormani McClain at USF?
You know, it could be a package deal, and USF is going to do that in-home as on 3 Steve Wiltfong reported, and I put it on my intel piece. But bouncing off of that, I really think that Miami and North Carolina are going to give it a good run at Tyler Williams too. Obviously, Miami has a lot to offer with Cam Ward at quarterback, and then North Carolina would like to add some talent at the wide receiver room. The only thing to keep your eye on with the Tar Heels is they're closing in on that scholarship limit, and can things kind of sort themselves out there. So that remains to be seen. But yeah, you mentioned Cormani, you mentioned Tyler. I think it would be a great pairing. I think it'd make for a really exciting offseason for the Bulls. The one thing too, it's 3 p.m. Eastern time, just about on the East Coast on Thursday, and Cormani McClain still has not hit the transfer portal.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Cormani McClain has not officially hit the transfer portal, but we did see Coach Prime mention in his presser that he wishes Cormani well wherever he lands. So is there any hesitancy, or are you just saying as a formality you're mentioning that he has not hit the portal?
You know, I don't have any inside track on this. I just know that Cormani McClain's high school recruitment was a little crazy. So I'd imagine his departure from Colorado is going to have some twists and turns. And it wouldn't surprise me if we found out that Deion Sanders made a last ditch effort to keep Cormani and say, hey, I think this is going to be the best place for you to develop long term. Maybe that's happening. Maybe it's not. It's just something that I have to think about when we're now about 48 hours in on Cormani and he still hasn't put his name in.
Right. So another 24 hours from now, things start to get weird if he hasn't officially hit the portal, correct?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll keep an eye on that. Now, somebody that has officially hit the portals, defensive lineman Simeon Barrow Jr. Now, this just happened, I believe, this morning. Michigan State, he's departing. Where do you think he could land? Because everybody needs defensive linemen, and this is a quality one.
So he becomes immediately on 3's number 1 defensive lineman in the transfer portal. Obviously, the TCU defensive lineman Dominic Williams went in yesterday, but Simeon has a really great track record at Michigan State. Michigan State defensive lineman Simeon Barrow hit the portal earlier today, and he is immediately on 3's number 1 defensive lineman in the portal. He edges out TCU defensive tackle Dominic Williams, and Josh, there's a lot of intrigue surrounding this portal entry, and I've talked to some sources and feel really good that there's 6 schools that are going to be all in on him. That's going to be Florida State, Georgia, Miami, Texas, Auburn, and LSU. And I think the one thing to watch here is, this is a really veteran defensive lineman. He's going to have a fair share of suitors. But at the same time, I don't think he wants this to drag out. I think he wants to make a decision, and he wants to just kind of dive in and get ready for the offseason and obviously the fall.
All right. So when we look at this list of big-time names that have entered the portal, I don't know if we're entering decision-making mode where we see a lot of these dominoes start falling, but do you see any of these names coming off the board this weekend?
I don't think I'm ready to say any come off the board, but I think we're officially in visit mode for a ton of these guys. And then, as you know, decision day is right around the corner. The one guy I'll mention too, Josh, who's really interesting is the Penn State wide receiver, Keandre Lambert-Smith. He announced that he's going to go to Auburn and Texas A&M this weekend. But speaking to someone close to him, Colorado and USC are really still making a push. So it'll be interesting if he makes a decision coming off those visits, or if he sets up 2 more visits.
All right. The portal is popping. Pete, appreciate you dropping by the inside scoop and bringing all this intel to us.
You bet. Thanks so much, Josh.
Thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoyed that, go check out the hundreds of videos that we have on this channel. And also, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel.